The girl my childhood friend likes tearfully accused her stepfather of molesting her. He rounded up a few guys, grabbed a knife, and went to confront them. I put a stop to this absurd action. In the end, they used their family's influence to have their stepfather sent to prison. But the girl couldn't bear her mother's resentment and the pity of others, so she took her own life. My childhood friend had been feeling down for a while, but then started attending classes with me again. The day before the bar exam, he glared at me resentfully. If you hadn't gone and meddled and stopped us, she wouldn't have died. I was drugged and locked up with a group of thugs who had also been drugged. And I was bullied to death. Reborn to the day I rescued the damsel in distress with my childhood friend and my brothers. I didn't intervene. I just stood by indifferently as they bought another knife. He strode confidently toward the dead end I had set for him. That good-for-nothing old bastard, I am going to tear him to pieces. Yufeng clenched his teeth and slammed his fist down on the desk, causing it to groan loudly. You dare to mess with Anlan? Do you even respect me? All you brothers, get in there. I'm gonna make sure he goes down in a blaze of glory. The guys all turned to look at me, as if seeking my opinion. I couldn't help but laugh. Why are you looking at me? I'm just Yufeng's childhood friend, not his girlfriend. You're all college students now. You should be able to decide for yourselves what's appropriate and what isn't. It's your business, so handle it however you like. I won't interfere. Yufeng looked at me with a touch of surprise. Jiang Zhiqiao, are you really not going to do anything? You're not going to stop him, are you? Stop me? Why would you stop me? Do you want me to end up like I did last time with my body torn to pieces? In my previous life, in the same classroom and under the same circumstances. After listening to Yufeng's speech, I immediately stopped him. Right now, what we need most is a level head. Whether Anlan's stepfather is guilty or not should be left to the law to decide. None of us are judges, but once he kills someone, Yufeng will inevitably be found guilty. It is by no means the right choice. My impassioned speech left everyone speechless. Finally, with red, bloodshot eyes, he said, "All right, I won't fight this time." Immediately afterward, Yufeng used his grandfather's influence to publicly humiliate his stepfather. But no one could have imagined that on the very day her stepfather was sentenced, Anlan also hanged herself, before taking her own life. She left a letter describing the impact the scandal had had on her. Her mother's scolding and the judgmental stares of others made her feel she had no face to go on living. After reading the letter, Yufeng sat by her coffin all night long. I went to comfort him, because we had already done everything we could. In the darkness, Yufeng suddenly sat up and pulled me close. Qiao, I've already lost Anlan. I don't want to lose you too. Let's walk this path together from now on. I shed silent tears. I never expected that it would be my childhood sweetheart who ended up being the one. From then on, he went out of his way to support me through my exams. But the day before the bar exam, I was suddenly knocked unconscious and locked in a huge dog cage. Surrounding him was a group of ravenous thugs. Yufeng. I shook the railing frantically and reached out my hand to him. But as he turned around, he burned my palm with a scorching cigarette butt. Well, feeling pretty hopeless now, aren't you? Top student from Jiang University. Now you finally understand how Anlan feels. Don't worry. I won't pick on you. I'd be afraid of getting my shoes dirty on a cold-blooded creature like you. Let them keep you company. It wasn't until then that I realized he had resented me all along for stopping him from killing someone. But does he really know the whole story? Does one person have the right to decide whether another person lives or dies? Before I knew it, my thoughts drifted back to the scene, where Yufeng was enthusiastically laying out his plan. Doggone. Go find the best place to buy a knife. It has to be far away. And there can't be any surveillance cameras in the area. Xiao Hai, you're in charge of getting hats and masks for everyone. We can't leave a single trace of our shopping. When it came to murder, his mind became both excited and meticulous. When he finally finished speaking, I quietly pressed the stop button on my voice recorder. Jiang Zhiqiao, you're going too. You'll be in charge of luring them in. Yufeng turned his head, his eyes filled with a menacing glint. What am I supposed to do? That's your business. But Yufeng wasn't about to let me off the hook. There are too many people around, will stand out. Lure him to a more secluded spot first. After saying that, he leaned in a little closer and rested his hands on my desk. You're not seriously thinking of not avenging Anlin, are you? His henchmen all turned to me with expectant looks. I looked at Yufeng's face. I already knew what he was up to. My father is a prosecutor renowned throughout the city. As for my grandfather, he is a prominent figure in the legal community. If things come to light, as long as they drag me into it, my family will surely protect me. His way of thinking was just as worldly and cunning as his grandfather's. Our families have been close friends for generations. Our grandfathers were close friends and classmates at the China University of Political Science and Law. It is said that back then, when my grandfather was poor, it was mostly Yufeng's grandfather who stepped in to help him get through many years of hunger and cold. After graduation, my grandfather joined the court system, while his grandfather entered the civil service and began his career in government. At first, they were still close, but gradually, their differences began to grow. Finally, when Grandpa saw his old classmate show up at the house carrying gold bars, he could no longer contain his anger. You mean Zhong? Is this your conscience? How dare you try to buy me off with something like this? Old Jiang, don't be so rigid. He waved his hand. This money could be seen as a bribe. Or you could call it compensation. If you insist on prosecuting young Master Zhang, he'll surely file a second and third appeal until the plaintiff is left penniless. Seeing that my grandfather wasn't saying anything, he added, think about it, though many lawsuits can a widow with a child afford to file. But with that pension, they could live comfortably for years. Sometimes the truth can be brutal. Old classmate, you've got to be flexible. That was the first big fight our grandparents ever had. My dad told me about it. He was only 6 years old at the time. On that occasion, grandfather remained convinced that Mr. Zhang was guilty, and subsequently provided the victim's widow with regular financial assistance. Grandpa said that no matter what the reason, the truth must never be buried. But Yufeng's grandfather believed that the truth could be written down. Apparently, Yufeng thought so too. Sorry, you're wrong. There's no way I'm getting involved. I fought back a wave of nausea, slipped the pencil case containing the voice recorder into my bag, and got up to leave. Under no circumstances will I betray my family's teachings or act outside the law, because once that door is opened, countless shady deals will be carried out under the guise of justice, even if Anlan's stepfather really is as despicable as she says he is. It's still not right. Just as I reached the classroom door, Yufeng called out to me, Jiang Zhiqiao, do you really think I don't know what you're thinking? I know you're just jealous of Anlin. Aren't you just upset that I don't like you? With his hands in his pockets, he walked up behind me with a mocking air, brimming with confidence in his charm, and his cronies started cheering him on at just the right moment, trying to embarrass me. I laughed out of frustration, frustrated with him, but even more so with my own self-righteousness back then. When he was young, no one knew about Yufeng's family background, so he was often beaten up by the boys. I felt sorry for him, so I often stepped in as class monitor to break up their fights. Over time, word got around that I liked Yufeng and couldn't bear to see him get beaten up. Surprisingly, Yufeng ended up believing it himself. Later, when he got beaten up, he even told people, Jiang Zhiqiao is my wife. Who among you dares to lay a finger on me? This line of reasoning continued until his family background was revealed and he became the boss, at which point it was no longer mentioned. I gave a cold laugh and raised an eyebrow. Don't forget, I never said I liked you. It's someone else who, just to protect themselves, goes around telling everyone they're my husband. I have no idea what they're so scared of. Years of running roughshod over others have spoiled him so much that he's forgotten who used to have to beg whom. Yufeng's face turned pale, then flushed. Just then, I suddenly received a message. I'm at Chu Shui Alley, come quickly. My face fell, and I immediately stormed out of the classroom. I turned left and right until I reached the entrance to Chu Shui Alley. I've walked this path since I was a child. My grandfather always brought me here. By this time, the sun was high in the sky, and more street vendors had gathered here to sell their wares. A man wearing sunglasses had been waiting there for some time. When he saw me, he hurried over and pointed at one of the vendors. "Sister Chiao, we found him's right there." Following the direction of his finger, I saw a man wearing a military overcoat and a lei foam cap, sitting quietly in front of the stall and shaping dough figures. Just seeing him still makes my heart race. I stared intently at the man standing before me. He sensed my gaze. And the moment he saw me, he was both surprised and delighted. "Chiao, why did you come alone? It's so cold out here." He nervously handed me the hot water bottle, and as he bustled about, he instructed me. "Look at you, your hands are all red from the cold. Come warm them up. I've been so busy lately that I haven't had much time to visit you. How's your grandfather doing? In my past life." I never would have imagined that Inlan's stepfather was actually the uncle I had known since childhood. Just last month, he called Grandpa to say that his stepdaughter was preparing to film a movie and needed to raise money for it. The teacher said her acting needs improvement, so we'll have to send her back to the junior class for some more training. But he didn't know that his stepdaughter was already playing with the new heir and had long since planned to push him into the abyss, from start to finish. And Lon never told us the truth. She didn't in her previous life. And she still hasn't in this one. I recalled the report the private investigator gave me in my previous life. He said that Anlin's stepfather was a craftsman in Chushui Alley who worked from dawn till dusk every day to support his family. Under his careful guidance, Anlin successfully passed the art entrance exam and became a student in the art department at the university next door. But as an adult, Anlan began meddling in the love lives of wealthy young men, hoping to become a rich wife. Her stepfather and mother scolded her constantly for this. "Did we work so hard to raise you just so you could be someone else's mistress? We don't want that filthy money, even if you give it to us." Anlin's stepfather even tracked down the wealthy man's first wife, completely shattering Anlin's dreams of becoming his mistress. He had no idea that what awaited him was murder at the hands of his stepdaughter. "Fong, my stepfather molested me. I really want to kill him." Back then, Anlan approached her devoted admirer, Yu Fong, for the first time on her own initiative, her eyes brimming with tears as she begged him for help. Yu Fong agreed immediately without a second, though the wanted to play the hero in front of the beauty, and he would do anything she asked. Besides, in his eyes, getting away with murder was as easy as washing his hands. This fool still doesn't realize that the only reason Anlan sought him out was to make him do the dirty work. As for romance, she wouldn't even give him the time of day. She was looking for someone from a higher social class, and Yu Fong simply couldn't measure up to her standards. Just then, Anlin's stepfather's voice snapped me back to reality. "The hot water bottle has gone cold. Here. Use this one instead." He handed me another one. I quickly waved him off, but he insisted on giving it to me. As we were going back and forth, I accidentally knocked his bag over. I bent down to pick it up, and just as I reached out, I saw a photo fall out. That was a family photo of him with Anlin and her mother. In the photo, Anlin is smiling sweetly as she wraps her arms around both of them. When he saw me, he looked a little embarrassed, yet also a little proud. "This is my daughter. Isn't she pretty? You haven't met her yet, have you?" "I've seen it. How could I not have? In her past life, she not only harmed you, but she also killed me, in a past life, in order to send Inlan's stepfather to prison." Yu Fong went so far as to fabricate evidence to prove that he had had affairs with multiple women. Once the charges were proven, the father-daughter relationship, which had previously been entirely innocent, became genuine. To make matters worse, she was diagnosed with HIV at that time. She didn't know who had infected her, nor did she know whom she had infected. Those playboys who had fallen ill simply blamed it all on her. They said she caught it from her stepfather, and that she passed it on to them, and Lon was unable to defend herself. The only thing awaiting her was certain death. When I found out about this, Yu Fong was still in agony, often staring blankly at Inlan's photo. I couldn't bring myself to shatter his illusions. He's dead, what's the point of saying any of this now? But I never imagined that, before she died, Inlan had already personally orchestrated my death. In her eyes, it was I who prevented Yufeng from killing his stepfather, which is why she was forced to turn a charade into reality and find herself in a desperate situation, as I was being bullied by a group of thugs. Yufeng stood outside the cage and said coldly, "You're the one who killed Anlin. She already told me in a letter if you hadn't stirred things up, she wouldn't have died at all." It was only then that I realized that, just as she had ordered Yufeng to kill her stepfather at the end of her suicide note, Anlan had ordered my death. With that thought, I sighed and lowered my voice to the delighted man standing before me. "Uncle, have you seen Orphan?" After evening class that day, Yufeng and his group filed out of the classroom in a long line. I followed them from a distance, watching as they got into the car and drove all the way to the entrance of Sishui Alley. Anlin's stepfather was just about to close up shop when he turned around and found himself blocked by a tall henchman. It was now late at night, and there were no security cameras in the vicinity of Chushui Alley. Just as my stepfather turned to leave, he found another group of people blocking his path. "So you're Anlin's stepfather," Yufeng said with a forced smile, his hands clasped behind his back. What are you doing?" my stepfather asked warily, his hand reaching furtively toward his pocket. To his surprise, Yufeng spotted his subtle movement right away. He grabbed his stepfather's wrist, but the man was still clutching the phone tightly. Yufeng shoved him up against the wall and slammed his elbow against it several times. Instantly, the phone fell to the ground. "Oh, so you know how to record. Not bad." He grinned maliciously, immediately deleted the recording, and stomped on the phone a few times. My heart immediately leapt into my throat. The recording is crucial evidence. If this link is missing from the chain of evidence, we'll definitely be at a significant disadvantage later on. But I didn't have time to dwell on it. Yufeng and the others swarmed him, kicking and punching him while their knives still glinted in the light. Just as the first person raised his knife, the episodes I had arranged began to appear one after another. Yufeng cursed under his breath and quickly led his men away from the scene. After watching my stepfather being carried into the ambulance, I hurried home under the cover of night. Before I even stepped through the door, I heard a commotion. Yufeng's grandfather was sitting on the sofa, trembling with rage. "Jiang Shanhua, say it again, are you going to save him or not?" My grandfather turned his back on him and coldly uttered 2 words. "No way. Don't forget, old master," you said, coughing in anger. "If it weren't for me back then, you would have starved to death long ago. Now that my grandson is in trouble, are you going to be so cold-hearted?" My grandfather still had his back turned to him. "Your grandson brought this on himself. He broke the law, so he'll have to face the consequences. The most I can do is ask the guards to keep an eye on him so he doesn't get beaten senseless." Yu grew even angrier upon hearing this. He was about to say something, but grandfather waved his hand dismissively. "We have nothing left to discuss. Ah Xing, please see our guest out." Upon hearing this, my mother stood up and quietly escorted Grandpa Yufeng out the door. All right," he said, leaning unsteadily on his cane. "Even if you won't save him, I have a way to save my grandson." The moment I brushed past him, I felt as if a ball of fire were flying toward me. Yufeng's grandfather glared at me angrily, as if blaming me for not stopping his grandson from getting into trouble. Stop me? In my last life, when I was locked in a dog cage, he didn't stop his precious grandson either. At the time, Yufeng had locked me in the basement of his house. The old man came down just to take a quick look before hurrying away. In the darkness, I called out to him, begging him to rein in his grandson. But the old man had his back to me and just muttered indifferently, "That's just the way he is. There's nothing I can do about it. If you can't even control them, what can I possibly do to stop it? Are you just waiting to be thrown back in the doghouse?" That evening, I felt a little drowsy. Anlin's stepfather still hasn't woken up. The police have cordoned off the scene and begun collecting evidence. I opened my phone and searched for related news, but I couldn't find a single thing about Yufeng. It seems the Yu family has really gone all out. They've even managed to keep the media completely in the dark. It wasn't until the 3rd day that I saw a news report. A craftsman was attacked. The suspect has been apprehended and is believed to have acted impulsively while intoxicated. When I clicked on it, I saw a few thug-like figures with their heads down. None of them were from Yufeng's group. Old man. So you've found a scapegoat after all. I know this battle between good and evil has only just begun. Anlin's stepfather hasn't woken up yet. Anlin and her daughter sat by the bedside, tears welling in their eyes. But as soon as she turned her head, Anlin cursed bitterly. A good-for-nothing who's more likely to mess things up than to get anything done. She wanted to eliminate the threat once and for all, but she hadn't expected Yufeng to simply step in and then leave. Yufeng was completely unaware of this. During recess, he was still secretly bragging to me. See, killing a person is easier for me than squashing an ant. I pretended not to hear, but the record button kept getting pressed over and over again. A week had passed, and when Anlin's stepfather finally woke up, the first thing he did was call the police. It was Yufeng. Yufeng sent people to attack me. He even said he was going to kill me. The more he spoke, the angrier he became. But everyone just looked at one another. The thug has already confessed. The same knife, stained with blood and fingerprints. The blood-stained clothes. The blood-stained shoes. Everything fits together perfectly. He was about to say more, but the doctor stopped him. Sir, even if what you say is true, who are the yes? How can we possibly stand a chance against them? But he wouldn't listen. Not only did he refuse to listen, but he also posted the whole thing online. Public opinion cannot be used to decide cases, but it can be used to seek justice. When he appeared on a video-sharing app, covered in wounds and holding his ID card, the internet went wild. Yufeng is the young master of the Yu family. How could he possibly do something like that? The comments section was abuzz with discussion, and some well-meaning people even warned him to delete the video quickly, cautioning him to watch out for retaliation from the Yu family. That family holds a grudge. They'll kill without batting an eye. You'd better watch out. But as the video went viral, more and more dirt on Yufeng began to surface. Some people say that Yufeng used to bully him, simply because the girl Yufeng liked was interested in him. Some say that Yufeng once forced himself to eat sand, and later used his underling to take the fall for him. Yufeng watched it all unfold before his eyes. Yet he didn't think much of it. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. I dare anyone to stop me. He said this to his friends during homeroom. I was listening from the sidelines, chuckling to myself. As soon as class ended, I headed straight to another bar. Out of the 10 bars in the city, I've already been to 8. Whether the outcome can be overturned depends entirely on the next 2 teams. The bartender saw me and assumed I was there to have a drink, but to his surprise, I got straight to the point. Excuse me, I'd like to review your security footage from the evening of November 20th. Earlier, by questioning people close to the thugs, I had already tracked down their whereabouts. I heard that the leader came back reeking of alcohol and said he'd been to a bar, so I went through the surveillance footage from every bar, with the goal of providing him with an alibi and forcing the police to start looking for a suspect all over again. As I was conducting my investigation, Anlin's stepfather kept sending videos, and rumors about Yufeng's involvement were growing by the minute. Many people provided information to him, stating that they had seen Yufeng near the crime scene or had heard him threaten to kill someone. However, none of this is supported by physical evidence. Just then, as I was watching the surveillance footage, I suddenly called for a pause. Zoom in some more. I stared intently at the group of people at the front desk, and when the image zoomed in, one of them facing the camera was clearly visible. This is the suspect accused of delivering the deepest stab wound. The time was exactly 10:00 p.m., which coincided with the time of the incident, and this bar is a full 5 kilometers away from Chushui Alley. The case had to be restarted. Yufeng was identified as a prime suspect and taken in for questioning. Even so, the situation remained grim. There is absolutely no physical evidence pointing to Yufeng. Eyewitness testimony alone is far from sufficient. At the same time, the Yu family also launched a counteroffensive, and an article calling for procedural justice began to circulate widely. The article states that the current trend of jumping to conclusions about Yufeng online is a harmful tendency in public opinion. Besides, it was pitch dark, so it was doubtful whether Anlin's stepfather had even seen his face clearly. Given the delicate nature of Anlan and Yufeng's relationship, it's possible that the stepfather, unwilling to see his stepdaughter fall in love, deliberately slandered Yufeng. Between the lines, it's clear that Yufeng had no motive to harm anyone. It wasn't until then that Anlan's stepfather dropped his second bombshell. The day after the article was published, a new video appeared. In the video, the stepfather, covered in injuries, appeared in a clip titled refuting the claim that Yufeng had no motive. This video is more explicit than anything seen before, laying bare the entire recording of Anlan inciting Yufeng to commit murder and Yufeng devising a murder plot with his unsavory friends. At the beginning of the video, there is also a chat log between the stepfather and Anlan. "If you dare ruin my relationship again, I'll have someone kill you." In the chat log, Anlan sent a menacing voice message. This was immediately followed by the conversation in which Anlan asked Yufeng for help in Yufeng's instructions. At the end of the video, Anlan vents in her hospital room. A good-for-nothing who's more likely to mess things up than to get anything done. As soon as the video was released, it caused an uproar across the internet, and Anlan and Yufeng faced an unprecedented barrage of criticism. When the situation suddenly changed, Anlan was the first to lose her composure. She screamed frantically outside the hospital room, demanding to know why her stepfather had done this to her. She also said she was just talking. Just talk. I chuckled to myself, whether she truly meant it or was just paying lip service. Anlan knew best. Immediately afterward, Anlan was taken away. I don't know if she'll be found guilty of incitement to murder, but as far as I'm concerned, this is enough revenge against Anlan. I personally provided a series of crystal-clear recordings. With these recordings, Anlan's dream of joining the ranks of the wealthy was completely shattered. For her, this was even more devastating than going to prison. But Yufeng wasn't done yet. Even though he was taken in for questioning, he stuck to his story. "I was just talking. I didn't do anything. You can't arrest me like this." He was confident because he knew that the few surveillance videos showing him at the crime scene had all been bought by his family for a high price. Without physical evidence, he won't be affected in the slightest. But I've already started looking for any clues about him. Whatever you do, it will leave a mark. That's what my father taught me. I was determined to find evidence that would incriminate him. If for no other reason than for the sake of my faith. If I were simply seeking revenge, there are countless ways I could kill him without anyone ever knowing. But I can't. I'm the granddaughter of a Supreme Court justice and the daughter of a prosecutor. I can't bring shame upon a family that holds the law in the highest regard. I will use my faith to cut off his hypocritical tongue, step by step, and make him taste the consequences of his sins firsthand. I returned to Tsushui Alley. By then, the crime scene had been reopened, and people were coming and going as if nothing had ever happened. I followed the path Yufeng had taken as he fled, pondering their escape route all the while. There were 7 of them in total, and it was extremely difficult for all 7 to handle the knives. Given how thorough he is in his thinking, it's highly unlikely that he would throw away his moat or trash can. It's actually more likely that he took all the knives home and asked his grandfather to dispose of them. On the day of the incident, I walked home, but by the time I got there, his grandfather was already at my place and had already explained everything. If he was able to get home so quickly, it's most likely because he took some form of transportation. I thought of Yufeng's private car. After I filed a report, the Yu family's car was thoroughly searched from top to bottom, and eventually a tiny drop of blood was found on the carpet. Tests confirmed that it was the blood of Anlan's stepfather. There was another unexpected surprise on this trip. Fearing that evidence might be leaked, the Yu family had actually wiped down those 7 knives and kept them hidden at home all this time. Forensic analysis has confirmed that these knives match the characteristics of the weapon used to stab Anlan's stepfather. But Yufeng's family remained defiant. According to their lawyer, Yufeng is charged with attempted assault. They were just passing by when they saw the assault. They ran back to their car covered in blood. But they didn't actually do anything. As for who did it and who that drunk thug was taking the fall for, that was a matter for the police. It wasn't his concern. Now that things have come to this, it seems all the evidence I prepared in advance is no longer needed. Even I was beginning to waver, had I really been reborn just to have no choice but to seek revenge through vigilante justice. I gazed out the window at the sky, lost in thought. Just then, a handsome face appeared right in front of me. I turned to look and saw that it was Lan's stepfather. When he saw me, he smiled. "Look, this is Sun Wukong, your favorite character from when you were little. I'll make another one for you." I took it, and my heart grew even heavier. In my heart, Sun Wukong is the embodiment of fighting evil and upholding good. But I can't do that. My uncle seemed to have read my mind. "Chow chow. Your grandfather used to say that if you do something wrong, you're bound to leave a trace." That's how he helped our family bring that scoundrel to justice back then. Back then, everyone said, "He's so powerful, how could they possibly convict him?" But in the end, they did. I just didn't expect that now I'd have to ask you to help out too. But Uncle believes you can do it. After saying that, he felt a twinge of guilt for not having saved the recording from his phone. Oh, right, my phone. How could I have forgotten about my phone? Immediately, my thoughts returned to what Yufeng had said on the day he assigned the task. "Chow Hai, you're in charge of getting hats and masks for everyone. Don't leave a single trace of shopping behind." That's interesting. I hope it happens. During the first instance trial, Yufeng and his lawyer insisted that he had never approached the victim. But when the forensic expert took the stand, he was stunned. The fibers recovered from Lan's stepfather's wound matched the material of the hat found at Yufeng's home. However, the materials used to make these wool hats are not available domestically. They are sourced from overseas. This was all thanks to Yufeng's vigilance. Since Xiao Hai was very obedient, Yufeng deliberately avoided online shopping platforms to leave no trace and instead asked a friend living abroad to make some hats for him. What's even more remarkable is that the old man who makes the hats has only made these few over the past 10 years. Because he never intended to sell them in the first place. This effectively narrowed the list of suspects down to the group of 7 led by Yufeng. Yufeng had thought of everything. He had intended to use the hat to conceal himself. But he never expected that the hat would become the key piece of evidence. In addition, fibers from a pair of gloves were recovered from Lan's stepfather's shattered cell phone. The police tracked down the seller of the gloves and once again spotted Yufeng in the buyer's surveillance footage. In addition, the other 6 accomplices, who were already exhausted, all pleaded guilty and provided further details. With the combination of witness testimony and physical evidence, Yufeng's conviction for intentional assault was finally a foregone conclusion. After the first trial, Yufeng's family still wouldn't give up and showed up at my house again. This time, it wasn't just Yufeng's grandfather who came over, even his father showed up. In fact, Yufeng's prison sentence wasn't particularly long, but for the prestigious Yu family. Once it became known that one of their own was a criminal, their reputation was completely ruined. Grandpa Yufeng tremblingly took my grandfather's hand. "Old Jiang, I know you're incorruptible. But just spare us this once, just this once. Consider it payback for saving your life all those years ago. Can you do that? I've got cancer now. Look at me and let me die in disgrace. After all, we were classmates. Just spare us this once." He was sobbing, and my grandfather's eyes were moist as well, but he remained resolute. "Old you, I'm also grateful to you for saving my life all those years ago. If there were any other way, I'd do anything to make it up to you or help you out. Even now, I'd sell everything I own to pay for your medical treatment. But asking me to protect Fenger, that's out of the question. I can't do that, and I have no right to. If I take the fall, I'll be the one dying in disgrace, and our teacher, my son, my granddaughter. None of us will have the face to show ourselves in public." As Grandpa Yufeng disappeared into the sunset, leaning on his cane, I felt a tinge of sadness. This might have been the last time these old classmates saw each other. Who wouldn't want to pass away with a sense of fulfillment? Facing such an unfilial child in one's twilight years would make it hard for anyone to rest in peace. But he brought this on himself. Back then, He ordered my grandfather to spare young Master Zhang right in front of Yufeng's father. Now, Yufeng's father has repeatedly demonstrated to Yufeng, both through words and actions, the power that comes with authority. Ever since he was a child, Yufeng has known that power allows you to manipulate people, and influence allows you to escape punishment. Their family has always believed this. When I enrolled at the University of Political Science and Law, the professor asked us why we had chosen to attend. I said it was to become a prosecutor, but Yufeng just laughed it off. I want to be a government official. As long as he gets a degree from a prestigious university, his career prospects in the civil service are sure to be bright. Just as I was reflecting on this, another voice suddenly piped up online. This time, it was Yufeng who wrote to the reporter, saying he intended to expose the matter. You've always thought there were only 7 of us. But there were actually 8. Jiang Zhiqian knew about it the whole time, and she was involved too. She just didn't show up at the scene in the end. This was the Yu family's last-ditch effort. Old Master Yu's pleas fell on deaf ears, so they had no choice but to use me as a hostage. I gave a cold smile. I saw this coming the moment Yufeng tried to drag me to the scene. I was also called to the stand during Yufeng's appeal hearing, although I was a witness. At that moment I felt as if I were the one being interrogated. The Yu family's lawyer was aggressive toward me, trying to pin the role of an accomplice on me. Next, I will demonstrate that the evidence I have provided could have been fabricated or planted. If that doesn't work, I can always force my grandfather to step in and help. In response to his question, I smiled slightly. I admit that I was aware of this plan from start to finish, but I was not an accomplice, nor did I assist in any way. Facing the cameras of a nationwide live broadcast, I calmly laid out the entire timeline. When Anlin asked Yufeng for help right in front of us, I started my first recording, ready to provide evidence at any moment. Shortly thereafter, Yufeng formally informed me and the others that we were to carry out the assassination plan. I recorded the conversation again and refused to participate on the spot. My voice recorder can confirm this. As for Attorney Yufeng's question, since I was there too, why didn't I stop them? I have my own answer to that. For an unarmed girl facing 7 gleaming knives and 7 furious men, my first instinct certainly wouldn't be to charge at them. I have no choice but to call the police. Is that so? He gave a sinister laugh. If you really wanted to save him, you should have called the police a long time ago. Why did you let things happen before you called? Even if you didn't call the police, you should have at least tried to stop him. Why didn't you intervene at all? This question is a piece of cake. From the very beginning, Yufeng insisted that he was just talking idly and hadn't actually done anything. So if I called the police before it all started, who would believe me? And who could I stop? All I can do is hire a private investigator to track down Anlin's stepfather, warn him as soon as possible so he can prepare, and arrange for someone to protect him at all times. All of this is supported by ample evidence. This is the best I can do. As for why I didn't stop him, I certainly can't say it's because I've already died once trying to do so. I simply said in a calm tone, Yufeng and I grew up together. I know his personality very well. When he was a kid, if his nanny tried to stop him from skipping school, he would just slap her across the face right there. Back in middle school, his mom once tried to stop him from playing video games, and he just punched her right in the jaw. You can easily look that up. If he can treat someone so close to him like that, what will he do to me, a mere outsider? If I try to stop him from saving the woman he loves most, what will he do to me? I can't even bear to think about it. My response was clear and forceful, and in the end, I undoubtedly won everyone's trust. The trial has concluded. The appellate court upheld the original verdict, finding Yufeng guilty. Shortly after the verdict was handed down, Yufeng's grandfather passed away. Yufeng was in prison and unable to attend the funeral, but I suppose Grandpa doesn't want to see him either. I thought. It is worth noting that during the second trial, Yufeng and the witness Anlin exchanged insults. Yufeng called her a troublemaker when he realized he was just a pawn, not even a backup option. Anlin was just as annoyed. She called him a good for nothing, a sycophant, and a dead weight, saying she hadn't misjudged him. She wasn't sentenced because, while she did say she wanted to kill someone, she never actually asked Yu Feng to do it. So it didn't constitute incitement, but her dream of marrying into a wealthy family has already been shattered. It's not just because of the stain of being suspected of incitement. Also, because she was quick to make false accusations at the slightest provocation. Her reputation was so tarnished that no young gentleman dared to associate with her anymore. Her family life is a mess, too, not to mention her stepfather. But even her mother has cut her off. Her mother berated her, calling her heartless and just as inhuman as her own father, and declared she wouldn't leave her a single penny of her inheritance. Her career has also suffered. No director would dare take the risk of casting an actress like that. Her dream of stardom was cut short before it even began. Faced with a series of setbacks, and Lan couldn't handle it all on her own. So she took out all her frustration on Yu Feng. I was just talking. Who told you to hit me? How cheap can you get? However, their verbal sparring lasted only until the verdict was handed down. After the appeal, and Lan tested positive for HIV and urgently needed money for treatment. She thought again of Yu Feng, who was still in prison. By this point, Yu Feng had already ruined his reputation, and no young woman would have him. Before long, the two reaffirmed their relationship through letters. Fortunately, Grandpa Yu Feng had already passed away. Otherwise, he would have had to endure yet another blow before his death. But none of that really concerns me anymore. My revenge is almost over. My father left for the capital to take up his new post. Before he left, he praised me. Sweetie, I knew you could do it. Study harder, the hope of our family. Right now, I'm preparing for the bar exam. Unlike in my previous life, I don't have Yu Feng by my side on this journey. If anything, I feel like I'm studying more efficiently now. In prison, I saw Yu Feng again. He looked haggard, and the once arrogant air about him had long since vanished. While in prison, he suddenly asked me, Jiang Zhiqiao, have you actually been reborn too? I was a little surprised. I had thought I was the only one who had been reborn. Yu Feng burst out laughing. I never thought I'd be unable to escape your clutches. In my last life, I killed you in that dog cage, then pretended to be a witness to save you. In the end, your father uncovered the truth, threw me in jail, and had the other inmates beat me to death. You Jiang family members are truly ruthless. I interrupted him. My dad might have found out the truth, but he would never have ordered someone to beat you to death. This is our family's bottom line. I trust him. Immediately afterward, as he stared at me in disbelief, I said coldly, our family does not have a tradition of taking the law into our own hands. Actually, since I've been reborn to seek revenge, there are a million ways I could succeed. I could lock you in a cage and let the dogs tear you to pieces, but I still chose the most troublesome option and the one with the least hope to sue you. Because I just want you to know, I can still make you pay through legal means. No one can escape punishment, not even you. Through the glass window, Yu Feng's expression became very complex. I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he still thinks I'm a fool. Before long, I passed the bar exam. Soon after, I became the prosecutor I had always aspired to be. At the victory banquet, Lan's stepfather warmly congratulated me and presented me with a small dough figurine. After Yu Feng's case, our two families became even closer than before. I looked at the Sun Wukong figurine in my hand. It looked just as lifelike as the one he gave me the first time I met him. Ever since I was a child, whenever I felt down, he would give me all sorts of little dough figures to encourage me to keep going. Before I knew it, my uncle and I have known each other for over 20 years. After Yu Feng went to prison, his father came to my house once for a short visit. He couldn't understand why Lan's stepfather trusted me so much and cooperated with me in every way. Hearing this, I chuckled to myself. That's all thanks to you guys. When my uncle was only 6 years old, his father was killed by Master Zhang. At that time, Judge Jiang Shanhua insisted on convicting him, but Secretary Yu Minzhong intervened to stop it. He said, "Don't convict him. It's for the best for everyone, including his widow and son." But Judge Could didn't buy it. Not only did he help the mother and son get through their toughest times, but he also sent the little boy to learn the art of making dough figurines, a craft the boy loved, and the boy went on to become a master of this intangible cultural heritage craft. Later, he started a family, got divorced, moved, and remarried. It wasn't until then that we lost touch for a short while, but our bond has always been there. That's why he trusts me so much that I can uncover the truth and send people where they need to go, just like Grandpa did. However, the family could not comprehend such feelings. They simply believed that there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. In any case, my journey is about to begin. Following in my parents' footsteps, I have finally made my dream come true.